It began with a simple letter, typed neatly and signed in blue ink by Lieutenant Rachel Myers, a 27-year-old military nutrition officer stationed at Fort Elijah Quiet Base, tucked into rural Virginia. The letter wasn't political. It wasn't official. It was personal. Dear Mr. President, I challenge you to try one of our military MRE's meals ready to eat. Not at a press event. Not for the cameras. Just sitting down with us? Like one of the troops, Rachel never expected a response. She'd written it after a long, muddy week of rain-soaked training exercises and exhaustion. Soldiers were tired, soaked to the bone, and surviving on MRE's day after day. When one soldier joked that the beef stew tasted like betrayal, Rachel laughed, and the thought crossed her mind. I wonder what Trump would say if he actually tasted this. 3 days later, her phone rang. This is the White House, a warm voice said. The president read your letter and has a question. Rachel froze. What's for dinner? By the next morning, Fort Elijah buzzed with disbelief. Secret Service agents swept the base. Soldiers whispered in disbelief. No one could quite accept it. Trump was actually coming. Rachel stayed focused. She didn't know how he'd react, but one thing was non-negotiable. He would eat exactly what the troops ate. No catering. No silverware. No scripts, just a brown MRE bag, a heater pack, and a folding chair beside the soldiers. She stood at the entrance of the mess tent as Marine trucks rolled past, straightened her uniform, and exhaled. Well, she thought, he asked for it. At precisely 1100 hours, Marine One touched down on a dusty helipad. Soldiers lined the perimeter, snapping crisp salutes as former President Donald J. Trump stepped out. No suit today. Just a windbreaker. Khaki pants, tan boots, and a curious smile. No media circus. Only a few aides, Secret Service, and an unmistakable sense of interest in his stride. Lieutenant Myers stood waiting, hands clasped behind her back. You're the brave soul who invited me to lunch, Trump said, grinning. I like that. Rachel saluted. Welcome to Fort Elijah, sir. Your table is ready, though I use the term loosely. Trump laughed. I didn't come for tablecloths. Inside the tent, a folding table sat beside 6 brown MRE packs and a dented metal canteen. A handful of young soldiers, handpicked by Rachel waited awkwardly. Trump sat next to Private Tony Vasquez, 19, who looked moments away from fainting. Trump patted his back. Relax, kid. You look like you've already seen combat. The tension broke instantly. Laughter rippled through the tent. All right, Mr. President, Rachel said. Your options, chili with beans, beef stew, or mystery meat surprise. Trump raised an eyebrow. We recommend the stew if you value your taste buds. You're not making this easy, Rachel smirked. Neither is war, Trump nodded slowly. Fair enough. He tore into the MRE with the same confusion every first-timer. Feels like I'm opening a space ration. You've got to use the heater, Vasquez said. Add water, then wait and pray. Steam puffed from the pouch. Trump sniffed the stew suspiciously. Smells like effort. He took a bite. The tent went silent. He chewed, then nodded. It's like my taste buds just went to boot camp. The room exploded with laughter. But seriously, he added, swallowing, I've had 5-star meals that don't compare to the dedication behind making this work anywhere in the world. Private Jenkins raised a hand. So we just call it punishment in a pouch. Punishment or not, Trump said. You eat this to stay strong while protecting the country. That makes it gourmet. Applause followed, soft at first, then genuine. As Trump reached for the pound cake, he asked, So who decides what you eat? Rachel leaned forward. These meals aren't just calories. They're survival tools, designed by dietitians, chemists, veterans, tested in deserts, jungles, ice. Trump unwrapped a cracker. I never thought about the people behind the packaging. Most don't, Rachel said. But someone has to make sure soldiers stay fueled and still feel human. When you're cold and starving, Vasquez added, even this cracker feels like a hug. Trump looked around the table. How long have you been in? 8 months, Jenkins said. 8 months more than most ever give. Trump replied. You've earned every bite of this delicious cardboard. Then Rachel pulled a faded photo from her pocket. My mom, she said softly. She served in Iraq. MREs were her only meals for months. Trump studied the photo. She passed when I was 14, cancer. She used to joke about how bad the food was, but said she'd never forget those meals. She's why you serve, Trump said. Rachel nodded. She always told me feed the fighters, not the fear. Trump placed the photo gently on the table. She'd be proud. The laughter faded into something deeper. Rachel, Trump asked quietly, what's the hardest part of your job? She paused. Watching young soldiers go to war knowing this might be their last meal. The tent fell still. Nobody tells you that part, Trump said softly. They should. Outside, helicopters hummed. Leaves stirred. Inside, the silence felt sacred. Do you write home? Trump asked. I try, Jenkins said. My mom worries. Mothers always do, Trump smiled. Mine used to say right like you're in the same room. Trump looked around the table. You're all writing part of this country's story. I'm grateful I got to hear it. He glanced down at his unfinished cookie. I thought I'd come here, crack jokes, eat an MRE, and leave. So did we, Vasquez said, smiling. But this, Trump continued, is a reminder. Of what? Rachel asked. That freedom doesn't come on silver platters, he said. It comes in brown plastic pouches opened by people willing to sacrifice everything. No one spoke. You signed up knowing the cost, he said quietly. That takes more courage than most will ever understand. And in that mess tent, over a simple meal, it became more than lunch. It became something none of them would forget. Rachel noticed a few soldiers glance away, blinking hard, hiding the emotion rising in their throats. Trump noticed too, but I want to say this, he added quietly. Courage isn't just pulling a trigger or running into danger. It's also sitting right here eating mystery stew, staying hopeful, and showing up for each other. That's real leadership. Rachel felt a lump rise in her throat. I came here expecting to taste a meal, Trump said. Instead, I tasted something else, honor. He picked up the oatmeal cookie and took a bite. Okay, he muttered, grimacing slightly. That part still tastes like cardboard. The tent erupted with laughter, deep, genuine laughter. Even the guards at the back cracked smiles. The moment released something heavy. Pressure, grief. The invisible walls that often separate leaders from soldiers as the laughter faded. Trump turned to Private Vasquez. How long you been away from home, son? 10 months, sir. Miss. Anything important? Tony nodded. My sister's wedding. My mom's birthday and my graduation? Trump raised an eyebrow. High school? Yes, sir, got my diploma by mail. There was pride in Tony's voice, but also a trace of regret. Rachel spoke gently. Tony enlisted right out of school. Sends half his pay home. Trump turned toward him. Why? Tony looked down. My dad passed. Mom works 2 jobs. I couldn't watch her do it alone. Trump's expression softened. You remind me of a friend I had back in Queens. Didn't have much but had more honor than anyone I knew. He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small gold coin. This is a challenge coin, he said, placing it in Tony's hand. Presidential. I only give these to people who've earned them. Tony stared at it like it might shatter. The tent went silent. Rachel blinked back tears. Trump rested a hand on Tony's shoulder. Your family's already proud. But now you've got a reminder your sacrifice matters. Tony nodded, unable to speak, and everyone understood then. This had nothing to do with politics or fame. It was about being human. Trump leaned back. Rachel, what's the worst MRE you've ever tried? She laughed. Easy, the old ham and eggs. Looked like regret in a pouch. Jenkins groaned. Don't forget the vegetable omelette, aka the vomit. The tent burst into laughter. Trump nodded solemnly. I see culinary crimes have been committed in the name of patriotism. But weirdly, Rachel said, smiling, we miss them. When you're eating under a tree or sitting on a Humvee, even the worst MRE becomes part of the memory. Trump tapped his half-empty pouch. Then I'll remember this forever. Vasquez grinned. You're one of us now, sir? Trump raised his canteen. Then let's toast to cardboard cookies, mystery meat, and the stories that come with them. Water bottles and canteens lifted. They drank not to taste, but to connection. After the meal, Rachel handed Trump a small envelope. "What's this?" he asked. "A letter," she said. "From one of our oldest living veterans? Captain Eliza Monroe, 98 years old. World War II. She still writes to the troops." Trump opened it carefully. The handwriting was elegant but shaky. He read aloud. "Dear President Trump, if you ever have the chance to sit with our young ones and share a meal, listen. Their courage doesn't need speeches, just ears. And remind them they are not forgotten. Captain." Eliza Monroe, U.S. Army Nurse Corps, retired. No one spoke. Trump folded the letter slowly. "This," he said, "is why I came." "She'd be thrilled you read it," Rachel whispered. "Give me her number," Trump said. "I'd be honored to visit her." Colonel Bradford entered the tent, then a towering presence with a booming voice. "Mr. President," he said, saluting. "I hope the meal didn't scare you off." Trump grinned. "Sir, I've survived campaign coffee. This was gourmet." The colonel laughed. "Rachel, you've worked miracles." "The troops made it easy," Rachel replied. "Sir, the colonel added, "Would you address the troops before you leave?" Trump looked around the table. "Only if they join me." Outside, soldiers gathered near the flagpole. No podium, just gravel and boots. Trump stood beside Rachel, Vasquez, Jenkins, and the others. "I came here to try a military meal and say thank you," he began, "but I was wrong." He held up the MRE. "This isn't just food. It's loyalty, sacrifice, character." Cheers rolled through the crowd. Later that afternoon, Colonel Bradford handed Rachel a sealed folder. "Effective immediately, you're promoted to captain. You've shown leadership not just in logistics, but in heart." Rachel's eyes widened. "Thank you, sir." Trump shook her hand. "Captain Rachel Myers has a nice ring to it." "Thank you, sir." He winked. "Now promise me you'll work on that beef stew." Laughter followed him as Marine One lifted into the sky. Back in the tent, Vasquez sat quietly, turning the challenge coin in his hand. "You okay?" Rachel asked. He nodded. "I just never thought someone like him would really listen," she smiled softly. "Sometimes the loudest moments are the quiet ones." The next day, a short clip spread online. Trump eating an MRE, laughing, reading Captain Monroe's letter. Veterans commented. Civilians shared it with tears. At a small retirement home, 98-year-old Elisa Monroe watched the video on a nurse's phone. "He read my words," she whispered. Inspired. A new program followed on her meals, recognizing the unseen hands behind military rations. Letters poured in. Gratitude followed. Months later, Trump returned quietly. No press. Just another brown pouch. At the end of the meal, he took one bite of the infamous vegetable omelet and gagged loudly. The tent erupted. Rachel laughed until tears streamed down her face, and in that laughter, full of warmth, humility, and shared humanity, the story came full circle, not about a president eating stew, but about sitting down, listening, and truly seeing those who serve.